and more considerate of comrades, less capricious, etc. The matter of personality might seem a trifle, he added, but it was one of those trifles that could take on decisive significance. After Lenin died in January 1924, his widow communicated the document to the higher party leaders. They, however, chose to disregard Lenin's recommendation about Stalin. Most of them eventually paid for this decision with their lives. For an account of the course that history subsequently took, we may turn to Nikita S. Khrushchev, the man who succeeded Stalin as leader of the Soviet Communist Party. Addressing a closed session of the party's 20th Congress in February 1956, Khrushchev read aloud the part of Lenin's testament that dealt with Stalin, and said, "As later events have proven, Lenin's anxiety was justified." Then he reconstructed these later events. The burden of his story was that Stalin, having won the role of supreme leader of the party during the 1920s, proceeded in the 30s to transform the oligarchical single-party system into a true autocracy, in which the ruling party itself was subjugated to his personally controlled secret police. He masterminded, during those years of party purges, a veritable Soviet Holocaust. Not only those who had earlier opposed him, but many thousands of others were shot or sent to camps as enemies of the people. Through wholesale purge and terror, Stalin created a regime of personal dictatorship in which one man made all the important decisions, and his colleagues were forced to be submissive yes-men. He also employed his autocratic power to promote his self-glorification. For example, by secretly editing the draft of his own official biography in such a way as to accentuate the theme of his greatness. Drawing upon his own experience as one of the dictator's lieutenants from the early 30s to the end, Khrushchev presented in the secret speech to the 20th Congress, which did not remain secret for long, a characterization of Stalin the man. He spoke of his intolerance of criticism and of dissenting views, his willingness to inflict suffering or death upon any person whom he came to regard as an enemy, his intense distrust and suspiciousness, his sense of being surrounded by conspiracies, and his thirst for praise and glory. He underlined the progressive character of Stalin's negative characteristics, observing that they developed steadily and during the last years acquired an absolutely insufferable character. In sum, he painted a classic portrait of a tyrant, a portrait, moreover, which has since been redrawn with much added detail by a heterogeneous collection of persons who could likewise, in many instances, speak from first-hand experience. Other party leaders, important enough to have had direct contact with Stalin, generals who served under him during the Second World War, Soviet journalists and writers, old Bolsheviks who survived the camps to write their memoirs, a prominent Yugoslav, Milovan Djilas, who dealt with Stalin in the 40s, the dictator's daughter, Svetlana, whose corroborative testimony is all the more significant for the fact that she writes from the unique vantage point of a witness within the family, and a dissident former Soviet party member, Roy Medvedev, who has woven new biographical data into a work on Stalin's career in power. Scholarship, however, has yet to make full use of the material now available in such abundance. It has scarcely more than begun to formulate the requisite analysis of Stalin's character and the psychological motivations that drove him to seek unlimited autocratic power through purge and terror. Still less has it penetrated the intricate interplay between these psychological motivations and his political goals and ideas. Nor, although much pertinent evidence has long been on the record, has adequate attention been given to the formation of Stalin's political personality in early life. What made him a Marxist? Why he dropped out of a theological seminary at the age of 20 to pursue revolution as a career? Why he became a Bolshevik follower of Lenin when most Georgian Marxists were choosing Menshevism, and what his personal goals in the revolutionary movement were. All these remain open questions. It is essential to answer them if we are to arrive at a deeper understanding of his actions in later life. Such leaders of psychological thought in this century